Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and folks, we are broadcasting from inside Renaissance Bank in beautiful and hot Alpharetta. And folks, if you are tired of the mega bank experience, whatever bank you're at, if they're treating you like a number, you're struggling to find a real human being to talk to, then maybe you need to look at Renaissance Bank. Renaissance, I have heard from clients I've referred to them, Renaissance is big enough to handle pretty much any need you can throw at them as a business, but they're small enough to deliver their services in a personal way. Again, that's what I hear from folks that I send their way, and if that's the kind of banking experience you're looking for your business, go to renaissancebank.com, find one of their local offices, and give them a call. And wait and be surprised when a live person answers the phone. I think you'll be glad you called. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Debora Hornbuckle. Debora is with OTP Hair and Makeup Salon. Debora, welcome.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. Let's talk about you and OTP Hair and Makeup Salon. I think it's obvious, but how you serving folks out there?
How am I serving folks? I am serving folks by helping them look their best in whatever season of life they're in.
And you're really not just a hairstylist or a makeup artist. You're really an image creator, right?
Yes, especially these days. I think people feel comfortable. They want to identify as a certain image for their business or relationship. And there's more focus in the media, the celebrities and Kim Kardashian, and image is just very much in the way we view each other, wanting to find a comfort zone or excel in either our personal lives or business lives. So people do think more about image. Yeah,
for sure. I want to get into more of that because I think that's really important in terms of what you do, obviously. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about you and your journey. Mm-hmm. What makes you passionate about this business? Talk a little bit about where you've come along the way.
I went to cosmetology school in San Francisco. I really wasn't sure what I was going to do after high school. And I love character development. I loved English literature. I loved Pride and Prejudice. And I thought, and I'll joke about this. I'm from California. What do people in California do? They go into psychology.
That's pretty funny. Yeah.
But I love people. I wanted to help people. But as I left the house young and about a year after high school. And my mom's friend said, if you go into cosmetology school, you'll have a way to earn money while you're going to college. Mm-hmm. And I'm love to read, but I'm really not much of an academic. I went to cosmetology school and 2 weeks in it, I knew it was going to be my profession.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And so when I moved out, while I was in school, I walked by this salon and it was like there were lights, and I walked in and it was two men who were from England who had been working at Vidal Sassoon. And I was like, can I work here after I graduate? And I did. I didn't work there long because it was a little bumpy out of the house for a while, but it's like when people who love ballet watch a ballerina. When I watched these men cut hair, I was like, it was just so graceful, their movements, and something inside me was that's, I think, where I realized my passion developed, as I loved the cutting hair. And it was funny because, a part of this business is people, and Roy, it was called Roy Oliver. He said on Gary Street in San Francisco, and he said, you're going to hear a lot of life stories. And it was just very interesting. It was a short but very intense beginning.
So you saw the beauty in what is involved in the hair salon world before you saw the function of it, really. That's what it sounds like to me. That's pretty cool.
The art of it?
The art of it, yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, that's cool. You recognize that immediately.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. So let's get back to that image issue that you brought up. And I think people know that image matters.
Right.
generally, but also people particularly in a celebrity soaked world, they're fearful of fake image, right? They're fearful of the veneer or the put on they think that image involves. You're putting on. Right. How do you talk people through that?
Let me just give you an example of how things have changed. So a lot of women used to watch Oprah in the 90s, and every once in a while she'd bring in these fantastic hair and makeup artists, and they would do a makeover on somebody. And so it was like bringing out the best of the person, but it didn't happen very often, and people did not get image changes very often. But I don't know, it was maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, one of our top trade magazines talked about one of the Kardashians having 10 makeovers in a year. Now they have the budget for it, and but it can be hard on your hair. Again, when you're in that business, part of your business is your look. But that's why image is more important now. And doesn't have to be so scary. It doesn't have to be a major change or putting purple in your hair or green. It could be cutting your fringe the bangs a little differently. It could be, I don't know, distributing the weight, getting long layers, short layers, doing a little more auburn, putting a little highlight. Subtle changes are good because just as we know now, the newer generations change is very rampant. So how you convey your current is that you'll have a little change here and there. And as far as applying to image, and so I guess is that what you're asking about image? Okay, does that answer it?
Yeah,
okay.
No, it does. One of the things that we were talking about, though, before we came on that I thought was very interesting is it seems like to me that a lot of hairstylists are basically they're captives of the latest magazine, if I can say that. And you were talking before we came on about the inspiration you get from art, from really old kind of sources. Talk more about that.
Okay, I did an apprenticeship at Vidal Sassoon, and Vidal Sassoon was from England, and he was very popular in the 60s and 70s. He essentially brought women out of the roller sets. And it's very interesting because the manager at Vidal Sassoon in Beverly Hills told me that one reason why he was so successful is because the women's movement was happening. And it's very interesting. Hair can change with social movements too.
Yeah.
But anyway, just like the 60s and 70s of Vietnam War, and people started to grow their hair out. It was a rebellion. But anyways, back to that. So Vidal Sassoon was very influenced by a type of art called Bauhaus. And it was popular in Germany, like in 1919 to 1930, something like that. And it was very geometric. And that's exactly what he wanted to do. He looked at the structure of face and neck and body, and he would design haircuts for the structure of their face. And actually, there's a funny story. I don't know if I should tell it.
Yeah.
But one woman.
We love funny stories.
Yeah. No, I read his autobiography, which was really interesting. But he said that there was one woman that came to him that was a little heavy. And she said, I want a makeover for my marriage or something. And he said, go lose 30 pounds, come back, and I'll cut your hair. And so he did. And she did lose weight. And she came back. And the husband actually came in and said, I have a new wife. I have a new woman. It was just funny. But back to structure. Yeah. So I do look at I love, I think earlier I also told you that I went to Italy and I went to Florence and visited the museum where Michelangelo has some sculptures called Unfinished Prisoners or Slaves. And they were pieces of marble he was working on, or I believe marble, I think. So before he died, he didn't finish them. And you could just see these images emerging from this rock. And so sometimes I'll look at somebody and I'll say, wow, I would love to bring out that feature or that feature. So I don't look at it as some big, so when you're looking at an image, it doesn't have to be scary. It's really bringing out the best in you. And like my favorite period of fashion really is the 30s because the designers had a sense of fun with the clothes and almost a bit of exaggeration, but with not overpowering the person. So you didn't look at her and say, her makeup or her hair, but sometimes you say it's a great dress, but you would say the whole person. It was very holistic. And I think Nordstrom does a good job of, in their ads, you notice a whole look. And I like the idea of Nordstrom because it appeals to different types of people. Elegant, sophisticated. And sophisticated to me means you're educated in what you're doing and how you're presenting yourself. So again, but yes, I do come from wanting to be making it more holistic and bringing out the best of the person. So when someone walks in, they say, "You look great," because the placement of the makeup is right. The hair is hitting some of the right bones. And
I really like that because there's a depth to what you're talking about here that goes beyond just the latest. Can you execute the latest style?
Yeah. And I think part of that is I do obviously keep up on going to hair shows and looking at my trade magazines. And I was just in Chicago for a hair show to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And it is a little humbling to be on the other side of your career. But I do like to take what is going on and adapt it for my clientele. Mm-hmm. They may not. I just did one of the newer one-length haircuts on a client of mine. We did not put the purple in it like I saw at the show, but we did do the haircut. So, you adapt. For instance, a one-length haircut, as a lot of women know, is a bob above the shoulders. In the 70s, it went up at a slant and looked more, it came up at a diagonal towards the face, and then it became rounded, and then it became way up high. We call it graduated bob, and now it's straight again, but it's not straight like it was in, a different period. It's texturized straight. It's a very kind of blunt bob, but when you cut it, you actually put a lot of texture in it, which is a way of modernizing hair for men and women is the tools you use. So do you use a razor? Do you use texturizing shears? So there's different tools you can use to just make something look current.
Got it. Debora Hornbuckle is with us, folks. She is with OTP Hair and Makeup Salon here in the North Fulton area. Let's talk about what happens when someone comes in and says, "Debora, I've had the same look for how many ever years. I think I need a fresh look." What do you do? How does that conversation, that consultation unfold?
The joke in the industry is you make sure they're not breaking up with someone.
I love that.
And
that's the first question.
Yes,
are you breaking up?
Have you gotten fired or are you breaking up? No.
Yeah.
If there's no major trauma, and no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But seriously, I do like to talk, like, where are you in your life? Where are you feeling? What image are you presenting? I definitely look at pictures. What do you like? What do you want? What do I see? Sometimes, let's say you've been blonde and you're thinking, maybe I want to go strawberry. Sometimes say, let's just put some strawberry pieces around your face, or let's put the color up next to you. Sometimes I have people stand up. I did a presentation at the chamber, I think last year, and I showed how I actually drew sketches. So I would take the person's face and occasionally I would do a sketch for somebody, especially if I'm trying to figure something out. Where do I want that hair to lay, or give the person an idea? Mm-hmm. So sometimes I do a sketch, put colors up to the face, look at pictures.
Yeah. And I like what you're saying about trying to figure out like what the purpose behind why they feel the way they do, why they think they need a change. And that could be a lot of different things. And do you find people are honest about that, or?
Yeah,
because you really do need some honesty about that, right?
I feel like my clients are pretty honest with me because I have that part of me that thought about going into social work, psychology. So I can tend to bring out those conversations, maybe sometimes a little more than I should or want to, or they should, I don't know. But I do care about people. But yeah, I feel like with me, for the most part, I think so.
Yeah, yeah. And then I guess this is not a binary thing. It's not just one choice or another. There's a lot of choices that you can make in terms of an image makeover.
Yes.
And sometimes a lot is too much for people to handle if they've had that same kind of look for a long time, right? So how do you work with people that are at that point?
I have a fun example, actually.
Okay.
I have a male client I'm trying to talk into getting some color because he's about 50 and he's got a lot of energy, extremely smart, and he's just getting gray, and gray can dull your hair. Gray or the white gray is very harsh, and he's still young and got a lot of energy. And so first I said, let me just put a little of the peppery color on your eyebrows. So we did that on one appointment.
Yep.
And then I said, let me just take a few pieces. And a lot of women would know this as highlights or lowlights. I said, let me just pull a few pieces through your hair. And so it can be gradual. And especially for men, if they're going to be coloring their hair, it should be a very gradual process. I had one man, he says, you have to do this in a way that my wife won't notice.
Wow.
But you can put a little color so it's not right on the skin, or we can use again, little tools. I had one man, I just did little pieces, but things can happen gradually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that answer?
No, that's a great answer, because that's not what people are thinking, right? They're worried about radical change. And walking into work the next day and everybody saying, what happened to you?
Right.
Yeah.
I do work with an image consultant occasionally, and she and I work well together, and sometimes we do a little bit more radical change because that's what she's bringing in people for that, and she and I discuss a look, and we did define it by the person. They're coming in ready. She's helping them with their clothes, and then they're ready for a change, and we suggest different options for them, and that's fun, and I really enjoy doing that.
Now, you mentioned this gentleman in his 50s. That's a late boomer. So let's talk about what your advice for boomers out there, because they're at that point where they want to be seen as active.
Right. So male and female?
Or either one.
Okay. So we'll just start with male. This is a kind of a funny thing. Boomers, male. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trim the eyebrows and the ears. No, but seriously, men, as we've noticed have happened the last 20, 30 years, have become more vain. Young boys are coloring their hair, and it's normal. And the millennial male generation, very coiffed. I crack up when I look at those pictures of the 1700s with men in the wigs. Are we going back to this? And especially in the cities, men are coiffed. They're beginning to wear a little bit of makeup, even if they're not. Okay, we won't go there. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In fact, on the sports channel, I look at these men, I'm like, wow. On the news stations. Okay, let's get back to what you said.
Yeah, and
Tips.
even some sports.
Yeah, yes.
I was watching soccer this weekend and saw some of the
Yes. See what I'm seeing, a lot of color for men. Now you won't do that in everyday life, but yeah, and that's what I would say. Depending on where a person is in their business, because I teach how to be current, relatable, approachable, relevant, but also the word that came to me a few weeks ago actually was competitive, and to remain competitive. And when the tips for boomers is what you're thinking of is you're going to replace the things you lose from your youth, which is a little bit of moisture in the hair and skin. When you go gray, it can tend to look duller because you are actually losing warm pigment. Especially for women, they tend to do their makeup the same way. And so as gravity happens to all of us and things begin to fall, I don't know, another word, women need to focus on thinking about the type of foundations that are on their skin, contouring their eyes a little bit more, their cheeks. And I teach for women, makeup is a natural facelift. Gray hair can tend to look dry, so using good quality hair color or making sure the hair is shiny, finding products for that. Men also, if they're not going to color their hair, instead of using a gel, use the pomades, which add a little bit of shine. And even coloring their eyebrows. You don't even have to color your hair. Sometimes it's just the eyebrows, just to give a little bit of tone to the face, because you lose tone. And I know a lot of women now are going gray. And even with I have a woman, I'm going to actually post her a few pictures of her, but how she went from brunette to gray. Now she's retired, but still with women with gray hair, I still put like low lights, what we call low lights, which are a little bit of a darker color to add shine to and tone to the face, so you don't look washed out. Because you begin to lose, like people in their 80s look more natural with white hair because they lose tone in their skin. Yeah. So you're just trying to replace things you lose as you get older, which is moisture. You want to look vibrant, shine, both male and female shine. I don't know. Yeah, and just, again, keeping the hair healthy looking. Yeah, that's a piece of this that, again, we were talking before we came on, that is important to you, and that is the health of the hair. Yes, I am part of like you were talking about how I look deeply into things is and maybe it's an intrinsic thing of how I want to help people. I want them to be healthy. I care about them, so I want them to be healthy in their lives, healthy. And healthy hair is a big deal. And right now I'm using a German color line, and it's heavily pigmented. So it makes, when you color the hair, it adds shine. It looks very youthful. There's proper ways to, when you color women's hair, that you're not coloring over hair that's already been previously colored. I'm very conscious about using non-peroxide colors on the ends when I'm recoloring the ends. So there's always shine. And I hate to say this, but sometimes I feel like you can be a careless hairdresser if the hair doesn't look healthy. Now, some people anyways, I'm not going to say that. But I'm just saying, to me, the health of hair is very important. The quality of the hair is very important.
Yeah.
And I care a lot about that when I do hair.
Debora Hornbuckle is with us, folks. OTP Hair and Makeup Salon is her business. Debora, you were talking again before we came on there. We had a good conversation before we came on, folks. I've tried to pull that into this interview. The importance of image in today's multi-generational workplace.
Yes.
You made some really good points about that.
Yeah. As we all know with image, first of all, people size you up in seconds. That's in all the psychology books. And I have a lot of clients who have told me that they have been taught in their corporations to try and understand millennials. And as we know, what are the millennials going to see, or the younger even generation, XYZ, whatever. Because now we have from 16 to, I was just asking my dad, he was on an art commission in West Hollywood. It was in his 80s. We have a very wide generational market, and how we present to one another can really help in communication. So one of my favorite stories, and I love this, and this client has heard this a lot, but she was in early 60s, almost going to retire, but still working, and she was going to be helping in sales in Boston with some people half her age, half the experience. And we always did like fun, chunky haircuts, but she had gray hair. And I said, you got to put some lavender in your hair. You've got to just put a few pieces of lavender, because you need to show this younger generation that you're open to their ideas. And you don't have to look wild. It wasn't wild. We actually put a light lavender with a little bit of gray, little pieces of gray. So it was very subtle and just in the front, just enough so they would feel she was approachable to their ideas, like she was keeping current. So it's really, I think of image in terms of communication in the job market. Some people feel like, look, men didn't used to wear beards. And in my last presentation, I talked about the difference of the generation, the Mad Men generation, where everybody looked the same.
Right.
Now you have so many different genders, nationalities, etc. Sometimes people wearing their hair naturally curly instead of straightening it can be, for a boomer, very important too. Men mature men wearing a close cut beard or a goatee, that can be more approachable. I think of it in terms of communication. Like I don't have to break so much down with you. I can see where you are. And you know what? I actually love doing younger people too and helping them. A lot of girls come into the market with straight long hair, and subconsciously I tell them, your bosses may think of you as a daughter and not, I think I pointed this out also, and not a young colleague. I had a client I loved. She graduated from UGA, and we gave her kind of a fun long layered haircut, and she got a job. She was going to the teaching profession, but another young person, she just had long hair, and we dyed her hair a little bit auburn, cut it shoulder length, and she got a job. She was a receptionist. She got a job as a project manager.
Oh, wow.
So it was but her whole image changed, and the perception of when she went into an interview. And so a lot of this is perception, which, by the way, was in your book, which I read.
Thank you.
Perception and price.
Thank you for that.
Because that is another thing, and by the way, John's book is fabulous for anyone who hasn't read it.
Thank you.
It's one of the best books.
Yeah.
But again, and just in terms of, let's say you want to raise, okay? Because your own example was about the lawyer who was, I'll use the word, in a kind of, storefront office with an old computer.
Right.
Versus the lawyer that was in the high rise in the nice suit and the Apple Mac or whatever. Again, are you wanting a raise? Are you wanting to compete with Who are you competing with? For the younger person, do you want to be taken how seriously? Like you care. And it's a form of respect also, really. You're respecting. It's like when you go to a nice restaurant, you dress nice because you respect the chef. You respect what they're trying to do. You dress nice to go to a symphony because you respect these people have worked all their lives to master this instrument or this piece of music. So I may have gone off, but
no, you're hitting on something I wanted to get to. So thank you for that, because this is not, you use the word vanity, and yes, there's vanity. We're all vain to some degree.
Yes.
The question is just how vain, right?
Right.
But there's vanity, there's image consciousness involved here,
Yes.
but there's a return on this. There's a return of both tangible value, whether it's getting a raise or what have you, or a new position,
Right.
or there's the intangible value of just feeling better about yourself, or getting more respect, or whatever those intangibles are. And you're talking about returns on the investment people make with you that are really significant,
well,
right?
Yes. Again, the 50-something client that, the male who colors his hair to remain competitive with. And also the woman I was talking about with the lavender hair, the fact that she could communicate across generational lines makes her more valuable. So she can use her knowledge, expertise, and wisdom, which is what it's all about, but still relate to the multi-generational workforce, which I think is very valuable because that's what people want to see. They want to know. They want somebody with wisdom who can actually communicate and work alongside in their businesses. And also, if you're your own business, who do you want to attract into your business? Because I have a lot of people retiring, so I have to look at my business differently. That's why I like the young millennials, because I can help them.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, great stuff. So, Debora, as we wind down here, I want to get to some important questions around the types of clients that are best fits for you. Who listening to this interview needs to come see you?
I definitely, because of my age, I do people. Been in the business a while.
Yep.
I love helping people, and I have a great compassion for people in my own age group. I go to a hair show, and it's a little humbling to watch.
Yep.
I'm not going to have the purple hair, but I can look current and age appropriate. So I would think people who want to be current and age appropriate, and maybe have a little fun occasionally, I love to help that and empower people who are still in the job market. I love to help young professionals if they're really coming up the ladder and want to relate more to boomer generation.
It sounds like you really are helpful to people that are about to make a big change in their life, whether it's about to go on the job search.
Definitely.
I'm about to start a business. Maybe I've started a business and I'm getting just new headshots, right? Or I'm getting a video series done. Somebody that's about to become a speaker.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And actually, let me my husband and I were just talking about something, because I just wanted to say, I went over to RUMC to offer, because they help with job markets.
Yeah.
And so I thought I would love to talk to them and these people about it, because people do not notice the intangible communications. So for instance, I went there and this woman had her hair up very messy. But also, even I noticed at networking events, there was an accountant, and she was dressed she had a wrinkled scarf and her hair was messy. And I just thought, you are representing a business of numbers. I see you more in a tailored suit, a tailored haircut. People don't, besides even hair and image, what you're thinking about are these intangible things you're presenting to people. And I was surprised when I went to RUMC and saw people, even if you are not directly applying for somebody at that moment, people are looking, people are noticing, and how you wear your hair. Even if you want to just wear long hair, wear a nice barrette or a nice clip to hold your hair back, or just brush it. It is surprising you have to realize people pick up on intangibles. Does that make sense? Is intangible a noun?
Yeah. wrote a book where I used the word intangibles about 18 zillion times, so I get it.
Okay, thanks.
I get
Maybe
it.
you
I
can
get
help.
it as much as anybody. So yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. But yeah, and people notice things that you don't notice yourself, and that's where you come in, right?
Yeah, there was even an artist I saw at one of the women's networking events, and she was a little bit older, didn't care about her hair or something. And it doesn't mean you want to reflect on the outside what you are on the inside when you are trying to promote yourself.
Right.
And if you don't care, you may care about your business, but people are going to have a harder time getting through to that because they're going to say you're not transmitting what is inside.
I love that. Really valuable help there. Yeah, that was very valuable.
Okay.
Now
I think I may have went off topic. Did I?
No, as far as I'm
Okay,
concerned,
all right.
you didn't. I don't think our listeners would agree with that. I think you were right on topic. But let's talk about success stories. You mentioned a few along the way during our conversation, but a couple of success stories that help illustrate the great work you do.
Like I said, one that was really exciting to see the woman the manager at our shop get the project management job after we did that was really fun. It was fun to do that woman. I had one woman come in new to me and she was going to, you better do this haircut right because I'm going on an interview.
Pressure's on.
A friend who moved, who I really respected as a hairdresser, she was amazing. She referred this woman to me and she goes, I got the job. And so that was very exciting. Yeah, I have a man. And again, with men, I will say there's some men I just do 10-minute color and it just blends color. So I have a man in his 50s. He was working for Amazon. We just put like a 10-minute color on, took out the gray. I think it's helping people even keep their position. Oh, I have a funny story about a man who he had to go on a first date. And so I cut his hair and we met. That was funny. And in women, people with first dates, and that's fun.
Yeah.
But
that's great.
Yeah, no, it's fun when people come back and say the change in their life after we've done.
That's fantastic. Debora Hornbuckle, folks, she's a hairstylist, makeup artist with OTP Hair and Makeup Salon. Debora, this has been fantastic. I can't imagine there aren't some folks that will not want to be in touch. So let's give them your contact information and tell them where your salon is.
Okay. Debora Hornbuckle, as it sounds. OTP, by the way, stands for Outside the Perimeter. I had 24 hours to pick a name. And I am located by Holcomb Bridge, Old Alabama Road. I have one of the studios in one of the Salon Studio Beauty Mall. And I have a website, but I also, a good way is Instagram is at OTP Salon. I have Facebook, OTP Hair and Makeup Salon. You want me to give...
And your URL is for your website is otpsalon.com.
Yes.
Did I get that right? Okay.
Which I'm working with WordPress right now. There were some words that are a little off center.
Oh, got it. I don't think anybody's going to be looking at the words.
We looked on the backside.
They look at the photos. That's what they're looking for.
Yeah. Photos are good on Instagram. If you want to see some photos, go on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah.
At OTP Salon, and I have some of my photos.
That's terrific. Debora Hornbuckle, folks, with OTP Hair and Makeup Salon. Debora, this has been great. Thanks so much. We're just delighted you could come in and we could shine the light on the great work you're doing. So Thank you for that. And thank you for coming in.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Absolutely. Hey, folks, just a couple of quick things for you, if you don't mind. If you're looking for classic, authentic, traditional Italian cuisine, Casanova is your place. Casanova Italian Restaurant. They are a cook-to-order kitchen, and here's the deal. They were farm-to-table before that was cool. They've had a little farm behind their restaurant for years and years, and that means in the summer, right now, in their garden, they've got fresh tomatoes, corn, peppers, zucchini. You can go on and on. They've got the goods, all the herbs that they use in their dishes. It's all back there in that garden that they bring right through the back door to the kitchen. And so you're getting fresh, cook-to-order food every night at Casanova Italian Restaurant. Go to CasanovaRestaurant.com to learn more. And if you're in the North Fulton area and don't know where they are, they're on Highway 9, just north of McFarland. Very easy to find, and they're fantastic. Deborah mentioned the book I have. If you are a service provider and you're having issues with your value, your positioning, your business development, your pricing, you may be interested in my book. It's called The Generosity Mindset, A Journey to Business Success by Raising Your Confidence, Value, and Prices. Go to thegenerositymindset.com to learn more and to learn where to find the book, which is pretty much everywhere. Also, I want to thank you, our listener. You are good to us. You've supported us for years now, over 8 years. And we're here at show number 778 of North Fulton Business Radio. And I didn't know how far we were going to go at the beginning when we started this show, but we've gotten along a lot further than I thought we would. And it's only because of you, because you continue to support us in so many different ways. You send us great guests, you share the show on social media, and I can't imagine you wouldn't want to share this one because I'm sure you know somebody that needs the services of Debora Hornbuckle. But please continue to do that because you help our guests and you help us live into our mission to be the voice of business in North Fulton. And for that, I am grateful. Thank you for that. So for my guest, Debora Hornbuckle, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.